A long time ago, Sega was interviewed and asked about production of the Dreamcast. It was paused. Production was no longer happening because there was more Dreamcasts in their pipeline to be sent to stores than there was sold to customers. And that was not a great thing, not a great position to be in. And of course, it meant eventually that the Dreamcast was going to be discontinued. And the idea behind having more stock on hand than is being sent to stores means that most stores just don't want the stock because it's not selling to consumers. Bloomberg is reporting that PlayStation is pausing, and I love the word pausing. They're pausing production of the PlayStation VR2 because there's more PlayStation VR2s in their own pipeline than there is in stores or being sent to stores. The demand just is not there. Now, I was not really on board with the idea of a version 2 of PlayStation's VR headset. I love VR. The first PlayStation VR2 was amazing. And yes, the technology in the PlayStation VR2 is probably one of, if not the best, virtual reality headset out there. The biggest issue, though, is that when you think about the cost of producing a PlayStation 5, now add in the cost of a PlayStation 5 Pro, add in the costs of developing games for those consoles first party, and then the deals that go into second and third party games, add in the cost of a PlayStation Portal, add in the cost of a PlayStation VR2, and then the cost for your first party to make games for that virtual reality headset, and then attracting third parties to make games for that headset. In the past, Sony's strategy, and a correct strategy even now, is to sell a lot of units of hardware, and that attracts third parties to that platform, which is why PlayStation 5 is so successful. Biggest problem, though, is PlayStation VR2 is just not selling, so why would third parties be there? Why would first party spend money to create content for it? And especially when you see great games on other virtual reality headsets. It's a position that Sony really is never in, where another piece of hardware that isn't theirs has great exclusive content, and the PC and the virtual reality headsets that work there have that content. And there are virtual reality headsets that don't require even a PC. You just buy the headset and everything just works on the headset. PlayStation VR2, almost more than, if not more than, the console, and then you need the console. So the cost to consumers is just way too high. Things just weren't great from the beginning. So what can Sony do? Could they reduce the cost of producing the PlayStation VR2 headset? Maybe the technology in the device is cheaper now. Maybe they can make the package smaller, sleeker. Maybe they could reduce the price to consumers. I mean, again, when you think about the price of this device, it's almost more than, if not more than, the console. And then you need the console. It's not like the PC VR headsets that are out there where you just buy the headset and everything works. The store's all integrated into the headset. So if you're just a VR customer, you buy a VR headset and that's it. Now they're making the PlayStation VR2 compatible with PC, and maybe that helps. Maybe the technology in the PlayStation VR2 is better than most VR headsets for PC users, and maybe that helps. But I don't feel like this is a great sign. Whenever you hear that a company is stopping producing something that they produce, it is not selling. And when you have more stock in the supply chain than is being sent out to stores, or the stock that's in stores is being sold, you're in some trouble. And, you know, I keep thinking back to that Dreamcast interview where, you know, they said we are not producing Dreamcasts anymore until we clear out stock. And then a few weeks later, the Dreamcast is discontinued. I don't know if this is going to happen to the PlayStation VR 2. I think VR is a niche market, but I do feel like there are successful VR headsets, there are successful VR games, and there is enough of an audience that likes it. But I just feel like the cost to produce this headset for Sony and the cost to consumers and the lack of content for it that speaks to the device. The actual games that take advantage of the entire piece of hardware, they're just not there. So if I had to make a guess, I feel like the days for PlayStation VR are numbered. I mean, think about this for a second. They've got a PlayStation 5. The cost of producing that is coming down. They're selling tons of PlayStation 5 systems. They're probably, if not at a break-even point, they're probably making money on the console. And of course, they're selling tons of third-party games through their ecosystem, and their first-party games have sold incredibly well. And their first party is taking their time to release games. Well, once they do, they'll have an even larger install base, so they're fine there. But then they add in the cost of a PlayStation 5 portal to produce. And then they add in the cost of a PlayStation 5 Pro to produce. And then they add in the cost of a PlayStation VR2 headset to produce. And then you've got to make games, not just, again, for that VR headset, that are exclusive, that take advantage of that particular piece of hardware. Then you've got to worry about every other piece of hardware that you've produced. Now, they're a hardware company. They've got to keep making hardware. That's what they do. But at some point, you think to yourself, we may be in too deep when it comes to some devices. And I think PlayStation VR2 is becoming an albatross around the neck of Sony and their ecosystem. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you have a headset? Do you like it? What are some of the games that you love? I think that, and I don't want to be a downer here, but I do think that with this pause, there's a signal here that they may be considering getting out of the virtual reality market. Thanks for watching the video. Think about liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.